Hey everyone, it's Vera from Rudy Visuals. Hope you're all doing well. In today's video, we will be reviewing the Hohem iSteady M6. This is a brand new gimbal from Hohem. This is a 3-axis smartphone gimbal with extra features such as fill light, an AI tracking device. We've actually reviewed a much older version of this gimbal about 2 years ago. It was the iSteady V2. If you would like to check out that video, I'll pop the link in the description below. Back then, I was actually really impressed with the iSteady V2, so when Hohem reached out for me to review this newer model, I was actually really excited to see how all the features have been developed. Here's just a few samples of what the M6 can do. So full disclosure, Hohem did kindly send this gimbal to me to review. However, as always, all thoughts and opinions are fully independent. But I would like to say a big thank you to Jessie for reaching out to us and making this video possible. So here we have the iSteady M6. So we're just going to open it up and see what's inside. So you do get a pretty nice case with the gimbal. Open it up. So inside you get a pretty big manual, a tripod. You also get a USB-C to USB-C charging cable. You get another charging cable, which is a USB-C to USB-A. And finally, you have the gimbal. The M6 is $209 or £166 here in the UK. A smartphone gimbal, this is kind of on the pricier side. You can also get the older V2 for pretty much half of that amount. However, with the M6, you are paying extra for the much nicer build quality and the premium features like the 360 infinite spin shot and the higher payload, which should improve performance with larger and heavier phones, and you also get improved stabilization. I've got to say that straight out of the box, I was actually pretty impressed with the gimbal. The overall build quality is actually really good. It's a really big improvement over the V2, which was a lot more plasticky and cheaper feeling. The body of the M6 is made of plastic too, however the soft touch coating and the texturized handle make it feel a lot more premium. It is comfortable to hold and the buttons feel good with just enough resistance to prevent accidental presses. The only part that's kind of a bit of a letdown is the joystick. To me, feels a little bit too flowy, which makes it harder to make precise movements. Overall, the gimbal feels really rugged and I'm sure that will survive some harsh treatment and will last you for ages. In terms of the I/O, at the top you have the magnetized attachment for the AI sensor and the fill light. On the side you will find the multifunctional control wheel, which can be used with the app to control the focus and the zoom. You also have the A and B buttons for quickly inputting start and end points. At the front you have the joystick, the OLED display panel, the mode and record button, and a zoom lever. On the other side is the USB-C charging point, as well as a 1/4 inch thread for mounting accessories. And finally at the back you will find the trigger button. Balancing the gimbal is actually quite straightforward. All you need to do after mounting your phone is to balance the back axis. To power the gimbal on, you need to hold the power button until the logo finishes the animation on the screen. I do wish this was a little bit quicker, as the delay means you will have to do a bit of a setup before you're up and ready to shoot. This gimbal has a payload of 400 grams, so it's going to work really well with any larger modern smartphones. And since most phones are nowhere near that weight, Hohem has given us the option to attach extra accessories via the 4 additional 1/4 inch ports dotted around the gimbal. The Hohem M6 is packed full of useful features, including the 360 infinite spin, which lets you keep rotating the gimbal in any direction without any limits, and also lets you use the Inception mode in the Hohem app, which I will talk about in a bit. In addition to that, you also have the 335 tilt rotation, so altogether you have a lot of freedom to control the movement of the gimbal however you like. The big selling point of the M6 is the AI sensor, which lets you control the gimbal via hand gestures. The gestures are pretty much the same as with the V2 I tried out in the past, with the addition of the lock position gesture, which lets you compose your shot a little bit better. This is actually a really good feature for anyone who needs to film themselves on their own. I also really like the fact that the sensor can now be swapped to the other side, so you have more control over which side you're filming from. The AI sensor also includes a fill light, which is controlled via the wheel. You can activate it by simply holding down the wheel. You can then control the brightness and the temperature of the light from 2700 to 5600 Kelvin. It's not the strongest light in the world, so you will have to be up close to use it. Battery-wise, you can get up to 18 hours of usage, which is great since that means the gimbal can last you pretty much all day. You can also use the gimbal as a power bank if your phone is running low on juice. Although keep in mind that the battery life will vary depending on the size of your phone and what kind of shooting you are doing. The phone app for this gimbal has been kind of a mixed bag for me. Connecting the phone to the gimbal via the app was really simple, just make sure you download the correct one. So the Hohem Joy app offers you different shooting modes, lets you take and stitch panoramas and take time lapses. Some modes are definitely more useful than others, like the Inception mode, which lets you take advantage of the 360 spin that the gimbal is capable of. And well, the others let you do this. It's fun to play around with, but not really sure what I would use this for. With the gimbal control wheel, you can also get an effect that makes it seem like you are focus pulling, although this is just the app adding blur to the footage and not actually controlling the focus physically. The app gives you a choice to change which lens it is using, however it only supports the wide angle one for now. The app also doesn't support resolutions higher than 4K, even if your phone is capable of doing so. My main problem with the app was that it is a little bit unstable. It would freeze on me and crash multiple times. More than once I've had this issue where it would stop connecting to the phone cameras at all and I would get this black screen. The only fix I really found for this is to uninstall the app and reinstall it again, which you can imagine is pretty time consuming and it's not something you want to be doing when you're out shooting. Having gone through some of the other user reviews for the app, I don't seem to be the only one having issues, so I do hope that Hohem can improve the stability of the app in the future, especially since this is such a great gimbal. You can still use the gimbal with your phone's native camera app, which I actually preferred as I was able to get more control over the camera settings. Moving on to performance, I found that the gimbal handles very well and you can get some really good results from it. Here's a few samples of Aaron warming up for his run as he is training for a marathon. As you can see, whether I am walking or running, the motion is quite smooth. This was all filmed with my phone's native app and you can see it does a really great job of keeping the footage nice and smooth, even when I'm running alongside, behind and hopping back in front. When compared to not using a gimbal, it makes a really big difference. Is it perfect? Not at all times. You can see with really big sudden movements, you still get a few judders here and there, but all in all, it does a really good job of smoothing out the camera motion really well. Even though I'm quite impressed with how Hohem has developed the gimbal, there is still room for more improvement. Like I mentioned before, I would like to see a better joystick. I also wish that there was a lock for the arm with the clamp to stop it from moving when not in use. Right now there's just a little stopper there to make it easier to mount the phone, but nothing actually to hold it in place. I would also really like to see a locking system for the magnetized sensor. There have been so many times in which I have accidentally pulled it off by trying to open the phone clamp, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose it at some point as it flies off into the distance or a body of water. In summary, this is a great smartphone gimbal packed full of features and doesn't lack in build quality either. You really do get what you pay for. It's a shame really that the Hohem app is such a letdown in comparison. So if you are looking for a gimbal that's going to last you a while and aren't too bothered about using the companion app, then I would highly recommend it. Anyway guys, that's it for this video. If you have any questions, do feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more. You can also follow us on our social media right here. And I'll see you guys on the next one.